So let us discuss more numericals of the topic house property. In the last class we discussed one full-fledged question of house property, and now I am discussing some more questions. So in today's lecture we will complete three main questions of house property, and after this the topic house property will be over, and from tomorrow onwards I will start the new topic, capital gains. So tomorrow is Sunday, so I am thinking of taking extra class also tomorrow, so that I will inform in the morning through WhatsApp. And let us now continue the topic of house property. In today's lecture we will do three discussions, three numericals. Now please take the screenshot of this numerical which we will do now. This is problem number 9 given on page number 5.28 of my book, and we will discuss this numerical now. Please take the screenshot of this numerical. Wait a second. Yes, now take the screenshot. You must be having this numerical with you. It's a numerical problem number 9 of my book, Concept Building Approach, and it's given on page 5.28. If you have taken this screenshot, please raise your hands. If you have taken the screenshot, please raise your hands. Okay, so let us start discussing this numerical. X, I hope this numerical is still visible on your screen. X, 67 years, a non-resident, owns a house in India. Non-resident, this is first thing. Age 67 years, so the person is senior citizen, but a non-resident. Owns a house. If owns a house, that means if I have to compute the income under the head house property, my one of the condition of section 22 is satisfied, that I am the owner of the house in India, which is let out with effect from 1st October 2020. So it is let out house. The construction of the house was completed on 1st September 20. Oh, so now there is some problem. Can you see the problem here? Or not the problem, can you see something different here? House was completed on 1st September 20, but it was let out from 1st October 20. Can you tell me what confusion or what type of a new point has arisen here? What new point I should imagine in my mind if I read these two lines? Can you tell me what is different here? Anyone? And
the house was vacant for 1 month?
yes, because house was completed on 1st September 20, but you let it out from 1st October 20, then for 1 month, what you were doing with that house? It's your choice, you can do anything. You can keep it vacant. It's your choice, but it is vacant. This 1 month, either it is self-occupied or vacant. These are the only two options available. Or third option is it is not occupied. Or what can happen in this 1 month? This you have to decide yourself. What can happen or what could have happened? It is possible that in September 2020, I was living in my own house. So this 1 month becomes self-occupied period. Or I haven't occupied this house. It means it was locked or it was vacant. So these are the practically these are the two situations which can happen in these circumstances. Whenever my house is completed today, but it is not let out from today, it is let out after some months. So this period during which my house was complete but not let out, This period was either that period during which it was occupied by me, or it was that period during which it was not occupied by me, it was purely vacant. So if this period is the period which is occupied by me, this question will tell. Otherwise, I have no option but to assume that it is not occupied. During this period, the house is vacant period. So for the month of September 2020, this 1 month period is vacant period. Second, what will happen now? That I will ask, one more question I will ask when I will start doing the question. So when I will start solving this numerical. So I'm proceeding now. The house is let out at a monthly rent of 50,000 during 2020-21. It is my monthly rent available. Rent of 1 month could not be realized. Tell me, this 1 month is which month? Or can you tell me this 1 month is covered under which period? Can you tell me that this 1 month rent which is not realized is covered under which period? Which period is this? Or this month lies in which period?
Sir, 1st October to 31st March.
Yes, this period obviously lies between 1st October 2020 till 31st March 21, because it is this period during which I put the house for the purpose of using it by any other person on rent. So that unrealized rent can only be of that period during which it was let out. Next point, other details of the house are as follows. Municipal valuation 40,000 per month. Municipal taxes due for municipal taxes due for 2021 40,000. It is due, not paid. Out of which taxes paid during the previous year are 2021 are 30,000. Out of this 30,000, 20,000 is paid by the owner and 10,000 is paid by the tenant. Now, after reading these three lines, can you tell me how much municipal taxes or local taxes I will deduct in the previous year 2021? How much? 20,000, because I have to deduct only that much of local tax which you actually paid as an owner during the previous year. The due was 40,000, but due doesn't matter. 10,000 is still unpaid. So someone has paid 30,000. Out of 30,000, tenant paid 10,000 and I as an owner actually paid 20. So 20 is allowed to me as deduction. Next point. A loan of 10,000 from LIC, Life Insurance Corporation, or you can say financial institution or insurance company, an institution, on 1st September 14 at 12% per annum for construction of this house. Rupees 2 lakh was repaid on 31st March 2018. Remaining amount is unpaid so far. Now total loan is 10 lakh, but out of 10 lakh, 2 lakh was repaid on 31st March and remaining 8 lakh is still unpaid. What do I mean by this unpaid so far? Can you tell me that this unpaid so far? What do you mean by so far? Till what date it is unpaid, or for my level, what is relevant? What I should check that it is unpaid till which date? After that date, if it is paid, it doesn't matter for my previous year. So if I say that it is written remaining amount is unpaid so far, can you tell me that I will ask a question to myself that it is unpaid till which date? Can you tell me if I am asking you a question that what is this date? So far means till which date it is unpaid?
So 31st March 2021.
Yes. If it is written that unpaid so far, then so far practically is not a correct language. But for my course, because I have to study previous year 2021, I must be sure that at least it is unpaid till 31st March 2021. Or at least if this line is mentioned, remaining amount is unpaid so far, I must be confident that at least it has not been paid till 31st March 21. After this date, if it is paid, it does not matter for my previous year. Please raise your hand if you have understood the discussion till this point. You must give time to read the question. Attempting solution is very easy. If question is clear in your mind, if the structure is clear in your mind, that what technical points are there in the case, how you will proceed, then attempting solution is not a tough task. Okay, now compute the net income. Now technically there is no such word net income under Income Tax Act, but in books or so many times examiners also who have not read Income Tax Act in detail, they can ask this question, compute the net income. That is why in my book I have written somewhere net income, but in reality you must know that there is no such net income under Income Tax Act. The word which logically should have been used is total income. But just to make every reader sure that if it is net income, you must assume it as total income. And tax liability of X for the assessment year 21-22, he spends 3,000 rupees on medical treatment of his dependent brother who is suffering from a disease specified in the rules made by the board. Can you tell me what is this board? If nothing is mentioned, you should assume it as CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes. Through some authorities, decisions are taken. Okay, so board means CBDT if nothing is mentioned, and claims a deduction for the same under section 80 DDB. Now, fortunately, this question tells you that this 30,000 is that amount for which deduction is allowed under section 80 DDB, but you will not get sections of deductions. You have to learn this section yourself. As far as deductions are concerned, I'm not saying that you have to learn all the sections which are used under Income Tax Act, but for deductions you have to learn this section. Examiner will not give you deduction, will not give you section number of the deduction. You have to learn yourself that if this is the saving or this is the expenditure or if this is the investment, under which section I will get a deduction. Fortunately, you got section in the question. Now, if you remember D, section D, what was section D? It was Mediclaim. What was section 80 double D? Do you remember what was 80 section double D? Anyone who remembers 80 double D? You don't remember, so it's better you start revising the concepts. We have covered deductions. Anyhow, what was 80 double D? Because I'm not telling you 80 double D. I hope that you should revise the concepts of deductions at least yourself, because deductions of section 80 will be used in every chapter now. 80 double D was when you are incurring the expenditure on a person who is suffering from any disability, and that person must be your relative, like spouse, brothers, sisters, etc. But I don't know whether you remember it or not. 80 double DB is not allowed to a non-resident individual. 80 for 80 double DB you must be, or some person must be a resident individual or resident HUF. It is not allowed to a non-resident, and in my case the assessee is a non-resident, though X is an individual but not a resident person, and that is why he cannot claim deduction under section 80 DDB. So I will not use this 80 DDB in my problem. 80 double DB will be nil because the assessee is a non-resident individual. From other sources is 4,74,000 for the financial year 2021. Further, he has not opted for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BSC. Now I hope the structure of the question is clear in your mind. Now let us start solving it. Examiner is not asking me to compute only house property income. Examiner is asking me to compute total income. So let us start solving this numerical. So we have to compute the total income in this case, and salary head is not there, PGBP head is not given, capital gain is not given. Other sources only one income flat is given, which is how much? 4,74,000. So what I can do for the presentation, when I prepare the final column or the main column or the main format, computation of net income. Logically, I should not use the word net income, but since examiner is using or the question is using net income, I am writing net income, but otherwise it is total income. You must know net income of X for the assessment year 2021-22. Now, the best presentation is that in this total income, I directly show the final value of each and every head of income: salary, house property, PGBP, capital gain, other sources. But in this question, only main head which is given is house property, and for other sources directly the value is given. So to save my time, directly I can do it from the house property head. So I will not prepare any working note to compute the income from house property, because other heads doesn't require any calculation, and in fact they are not given in this question. So to save my time, I can do the presentation in such a way that entire house property head is given in this main column, in this main format. First, now the house is let out. Second point, if it is let out, we have to compute annual value by following 3 steps. So let us start doing it. Step 1, expected rent. Can anyone tell me what is expected rent? Municipal value or fair rent higher? Higher or standard rent lower? Can you tell me how much is municipal value? Anyone who can give me the answer? Don't see the book.
40,000, sir.
How much?
40.
40,000 is per month. I will multiply it by what? I will multiply it by what?
6.
Why 6?
From October to March.
Why from October to March? Why not from September to March? Or why not from April to March? This is my question to you, that when I will compute expected rent, 3 values I need: municipal value, fair rent, standard rent. In this question there is some problem. My year starts from April 20. My year starts from April 20. House was completed, house was ready in September 20, but house was given on rent, let out, in October 20. So the question which can arise in my mind is, this expected rent will be for entire 12 months or for these 7 months, September to March, or for this period 6 months, which is more logical? Can anyone throw some light? In such situation, which is more logical? Whether I should compute expected rent for 12 months, 7 months or 6 months, which is more logical in your opinion? Any answer? Think logically and decide. Just think logically and decide which is more logical. Anyone?
Sir, from September, because the house is completed on 1st September.
Why not from 1st April? Why not from 1st April? Why from September? Why not from 1st April?
Sir, the house was not even ready from April, so
There was
how
no
will
house. The simple point is there was no house at all. If there was
yes.
no house, there is no question of earning any notional rent because there was no house. House came into existence from September. Now you let out this house from October, that doesn't matter. But in reality, the moment your house is complete, your notional value you can easily compute. So in my case, expected rent will be computed for 7 months. So municipal value for 7 months is 2 lakh 80. How much is fair rent for 7 months? Not given, not available. How much is standard rent for 7 months? Everything will be for 7 months. Okay, you must remember it. It's not that fair rent will be for 10 months, municipal value 9 months. No. Expected rent is of 7 months. By default, it means all the values which are part of expected rent will be of 7 months in my example. Standard rent not available. So what is my expected rent? Municipal value or fair rent higher. So not applicable or 2 lakh 80, which is higher? 280. 280 or standard rent not available, which is lower. If something is not available, I cannot use that concept. So by default, expected rent becomes 2 lakh 80. Any problem you can ask, otherwise we will proceed. Step 2. Actual rent received or receivable. Annual rent. Annual rent which is given in the question is 50,000 per month. For how many months I will multiply this value of 50,000 into any answer?
6.
Sir, 7 months.
7 months. 350 less unrealized rent for 1 month 50,000. Now this rent will be of the period which lies from October 20 till March 31. I don't know which month, but one thing is sure that this month must be within October to March 21. 3 lakh less vacancy loss. This month is sure it is September 2020. There is no doubt about it. Now this is what actual rent received or receivable 2 lakh 50. $250. Step 3. Is actual rent greater than expected rent? Answer is no. Is actual rent less than expected rent? Yes. Answer is yes. 250 is less than 280. 250 is less than 280. And is it because of vacancy? Yes, because had there been no vacancy, my this actual income would be 3 lakh, which would have been more than 280. So I will say that since actual rent received or receivable is less than expected rent only because of vacancy, actual rent received or receivable is the annual value before deduction of local taxes. So it is 2 lakh 50,000. after this. So I'm continuing here. Less what? Local taxes. How much local taxes I will deduct paid by the owner during the previous year? 20,000. This is my annual value. 2,30,000. Less what? Deductions under section 24. There are two deductions. Don't use short forms. Okay, write complete in the exam. I am using short form. I might be using short form, but you should avoid using it. 30% of annual value. Write always full form in the exam. 230 into 30%. 69,000. Less interest on capital borrowed. Now for this I will prepare note 1. For this I will start preparing note 1. I hope to this point it is clear. So note 1. Calculation of interest on capital borrowed. Now what happens here is, in my question what is happening is, the loan is 10 lakh rupees, but the repayment dates are different. For 2 lakh rupees, the repayment date is 31st March 2018, and for remaining 8 lakh rupees, the repayment date is after 31st March 21. After 31st March 21. So I should compute, for safe side, to avoid errors, I should treat this loan as two loans. For 2 lakh rupees, we have different dates. For 8 lakh rupees, we have different dates. In such questions, if you treat the loan amount separately, your answer will always be correct. You can also treat it combined also, but that requires a little bit extra level of knowledge or patient or this concentration. So for the time being, let me simplify it and let me assume that there are two loans. So I will write that out of 10 lakh, for 2 lakh loan, for the loan of 2 lakh, the date of borrowing is 1st September 14. Date of completion is, construction of the house is completed on, is it written when the construction is completed? Yes, 1st September 20. It was in the second line of the question, 1st September 20. And when the date of repayment is, these three dates are relevant always. The date of repayment is 31st March 18. And similarly, for 8 lakh loan, always bifurcate the loans in case the dates are different. Borrowing date might be same, because if borrowing date is different by default, then these are two loans. If borrowing date is same, house completion is of course same, only repayment date can change. In that case, it is better you bifurcate the loan into different parts on the basis of their dates of repayment. Here, date of borrowing is same, of course, because loan was single initially when it was taken. I am bifurcating it only for the purpose of my own minimization of calculation work. Otherwise, there is no such restriction that you should bifurcate it. You have to compute the amount correctly. That's it. So you might bifurcate it or not. 31st March 18. Now, date of repayment is what? For this loan, what is the date of repayment? No repayment date, because it is not yet paid till 31st March 21. So I am writing no repayment date. And now I will compute step 1. What was step 1? Computation of or calculation of pre-construction period. As I told you, always before applying step 1 and step 2, check will there be any pre-construction period or not? Answer is yes. How do you check whether there is any pre-construction period or not? Is there any interest which is payable before the year in which your house is completed? Yes. House is completed in which year? It is previous year 2021. So have you paid the interest, or is interest payable before the previous year 2021? Yes, because I took the loan on 14. So I must have paid the interest during 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18 and 18, 19, and in fact in 19, 20 also. So I have to compute pre-construction period. So for 2 lakh rupees, so what I will write? Step 1, for 2 lakh rupees, for rupees 2 lakh loan, what is my pre-construction period? By default, it starts from date of borrowing by default and it ends on 31st March prior to DOC. So it is 31st March 2020. By default, you must know that this 31st March must be carefully checked and must be checked with the actual date of repayment. And actual date of repayment is 31st March 18. Because when you repaid the loan, you might have completed the construction after repayment of loan, but then you are not paying any interest. So you cannot say that your pre-construction period end on 31st March 20 in this example. By default, it will end on 31st March 18. Till this point, if you have any doubt, please ask me. Otherwise, raise your hands. Please raise your hands if the problem is clear till this point. Okay. Now let us move from this point. This is the amount, this is the period of pre-construction. This is the period for amount of rupees 2 lakh loan. What is the period for 8 lakh loan? For rupees 8 lakh loan. For rupees 8 lakh loan, what is PCP? Of course, it is starting from date of borrowing by default and it is ending on 31st March 20 because it is 31st March which is prior to the year in which house is completed. Or what is date of repayment? Not yet paid, or you can say no repayment date. So in reality, I cannot say that there is no repayment date, but I am computing the calculation for the previous year 2021, and if I am writing no repayment date, that means it is not repaid till 31st March 21, that is sure. So this PCP ends on which date? This date. So now my step 1 is over. Then step 2. Compute the interest. And make 5 installments. So now I will compute separately, just to minimize the error. That's it. So for 2 lakh, for rupees 2 lakh, how much is the interest? Interest is for how many months? For 14, 15. How many months of 14, 15? Can you tell me for 14, 15, starting from September? September, October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March. 7 months. Similarly, for 15, 16, 12 months. For 16, 17, 12 months. and for 17-18, 12 months. So 14-15, 15-16, 16-17 and 17-18. For this 2 lakh loan was taken on 1st September 14. Yes. So it comes out to be 43 months. So what is the interest on 2 lakh? PCP interest on 2 lakh rupees is equal to total outstanding. I will take 2 lakh. Rate is 12% into how many months? 43 months divided by 12. So it becomes 86,000. So it becomes 86,000 rupees. Is this calculation coming correct? Or is there any problem which is there? No, it is correct. It is correct calculation. Yes, correct. So this comes out to be 36 plus 7, 43, 2 lakh into 12% divided by 12 into 43. It is 86,000 rupees. This is my pre-construction period of 2 lakh. So keep it pending. Then you start for 8 lakh rupees. For 8 lakh, how much is the interest? For how many months for 8 lakh?
So
Start
67.
counting. How many months?
So 67.
Let us check. For 14, 15, 7 months. For 15, 16, 12 months. For 16, 17, 12 months. For 17, 18, 12 months. 18, 19, 12 months. And 19, 20, 12 months. Okay, because this for 8 lakh rupees, this is the period. It ends on 31st March 20. It becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 12 5 is 60 plus 7, 67 months. Therefore, interest on 8 lakh is how much? 8 lakh. 12% into 67 by 12. 67 by 12. And that comes out to be rupees 8 lakh into 12% divided by 12 into 67, 536. I hope it is clear. Now, total interest, or you can say total pre-construction period interest is equal to, because only calculation can vary. Otherwise, installments, year of installment will be same, because year of installment starts from the year when the house is complete. So that will be a single day. Now you do the total pre-construction period interest plus 86. It becomes total 6,22,000 and is deductible in 5 installments. As we know, the provision is deductible in 5 equal installments. and the years five installment and the amount of how much is deductible per year 622 divided by 5 124,400 is deductible during, can you tell me the number of years or those exact years is deductible during which 5 years 2000
2021.
yes 2021 starting from the year in which the house is complete, because now in this year in which house is complete you can easily compute the value 2021 2 21 22 23 24 25 these are those 5 years. I'm not concerned with these 5 years, I'm concerned with my year, and fortunately in my year there is an installment of 124,400 which I can deduct. Step 3 now. So this is only different, some difference in step 2 calculation. When your repayment date is different, then extra work in step 1 and step 2 arises, and that extra work is what? That you are having separate calculation of period and separate calculation of amount of interest. That's it. Now in 3 and 4 it is same. Now what is the interest which is payable during current year? Because when the house is complete there is no such concept of pre-construction. So what is interest payable for previous year 2021? So what is total outstanding in 2021? How much is total outstanding in 2021? Out of 10 lakh, in 2021, 2 lakh has already been paid much earlier. So what is total outstanding in 2021? 8 lakh into 12% into complete year. So directly I will write 96,000. Step 4. How much is total interest on capital borrowed for 2020-21? How much is total interest on capital borrowed?
Sir, 2,20,400.
This 124,400 plus this 96,000, and do remember I must carefully see that it is related to the previous year 2021. So many times what will happen in step 2, when you will compute this number of years, it might be that year, these 5 years might be those years during which your current previous year will not come. Suppose the house is constructed or completed in 2022-23. So you start 5 years from 20 to 23. So your current previous year will not come. So you have to carefully see not only the installment amount, you have to carefully see those 5 years, whether in those 5 years your current relevant previous year for which you are doing the calculation for the purpose of tax department exists or not. Now this becomes how much? 122,400 plus 96,000. 122,400 plus 96,000. It is 2,18,400. This is the valid amount. Now can I deduct 2,18,400? Can I deduct 2,18,400? Yes, because the house is let out, and in case of let out house there is no need to check those limits of 2 lakh or 30,000. I can deduct 2,18,400 and I will deduct it now. So this I will write now 218,400. 218,400, and this is my income from house property. How much? 230. So I discussed a different case. This is a different case where you are having two calculations when repayment is different. But the way of calculation is still same. Minus 218,400. 57,400 negative. Now is there any other head income given? Yes. Income from other source. Don't write short form in the exam. How much is income from other source?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, the amount of installment was 124,400. And
Yes.
you,
So what I have taken?
so 120 to 400.
Oh, so you do the calculation. It is 124,400. So I think it will be 220,400.
Yes, sir.
124,400 plus 96,000. It will become 224,400. Yes. Make this correction. 224,400. 224,400. So 230 minus 69 minus 224,400. 59,400. Okay, do this correction. What is income from other sources given? Income from other source which is given is 4,74,000. This is my gross total income. $4,14,600 less deduction under section 80C. Can you tell me how much will be the deduction under section 80C? Can you tell me how much will be the deduction under section 80C?
Sir, nil.
Why nil?
Sir, because there has been not been any repayment of loan this
But
year.
repayment of loan is there, 2 lakh rupees I have repaid.
Sir, but it was repaid on 31st March 18.
Yes. So that means that repayment is not done in the previous year 2021. Had I repaid this loan which I took from LIC in the previous year 2021, that principal amount of repayment I would have allowed as deduction under section 80C, but now it is nil. You must remember it. So there is no need to write also 80C. You can ignore this entire 80C, but I wanted to show you that how you should think when you attempt any case. But how much is 80 DDB? That I have already discussed. Nil, because the assessee is a non-resident. It is not allowed to non-residents. This is total income. $414,600. How much is the tax on $414,600? So this is now computation of tax. Tax payable by X for the assessment year 2021-22. How much is the tax on 414,600? 414,600. Harip, can anyone compute the tax? Anyone who can tell me the answer of tax on 414,600? Any answer? You compute, let me also compute. How much is the value on 414,600 as far as tax is concerned? How much? Check this answer, 414,600. Tax on 414,600. Anyone who can tell me the answer, 414,600?
Sir, it is 8230. 414,600 minus 25.
Yes, it is 8230. I hope everyone is getting this answer, because assessee might be senior citizen but not a resident. So you cannot apply that slab up to 3 lakh nil. In this case, the assessee is a non-resident person, so age does not matter. Up to 250 it is nil. But how much is rebate under section 87A? Since the income is less than 5 lakh, so how much will be rebate? How much?
Sir, if you are non-resident.
Yes. So though my income is not exceeding 5 lakh rupees, but since I am a non-resident, I have no right to ask for 87A rebate. It is nil. So you should remember these points carefully in the exams. That my income might not be exceeding 5 lakh, but I'm not a resident individual, so I have no right to ask for 87A rebate. So flat. Now cess surcharge, of course, not there because income does not exceed 50 lakh. Now 4%, 8230 into 4%, 329. 8560 is the answer of tax. 850 is the answer of tax payable. Round it off. You must round it off. Tax payable 8560 rounded off. That's it. Please raise your hand if this question is clear. If not clear, you can raise your queries here. If it is 100% clear, please raise your hands. After this, we will be discussing another case. If it is clear, please raise your hands. Others, if it is clear, please raise your hands. Okay, now let us proceed to next question. Now I'll be discussing problem number 11, given on page 5.31. So questions are not tough, but practice is required. So my next discussion will be problem 11. Page 5.31 from my book. Now let us start discussing this numerical. Let me show you the page so that you can take the screenshot if you don't have this book. Hurry up. It's not complete question for the time on this page. So you take the screenshot of 11th problem. If you have taken the screenshot on this page, please raise your hands. Then I'll show you the next page. Okay, now next page. Only 3 lines, first 3 lines from next page. If you have taken the screenshot, please raise your hands. If screenshot is taken, please raise your hand so that I can move now to solve the question. Okay, so now let us start solving the question, but let me read it for you first. Our own say house, big house. The house has three independent. So this is a new concept now. The house has three independent residential units. House is single, but within this house there are three independent units. So many times what happens, as you must have seen, that house may be one, but different rooms are constructed. So in my question, what is written is unit 1, 50% of the floor area is let out for residential purpose. Let out, though it is let out, but it is let out for what? For residence. Let out for residence. Let out for residence on a monthly rent of 16,000. This unit is, however, used by him from 15th Jan 21 to 15th March 21 for his residential purpose. Unit 1. Now this entire house is divided in three parts. On 50% of the land or 50% of the house has been let out. Let out for residence purpose doesn't matter. Let out for residence, let out for business does not matter. For me as a landlord, I'm not concerned about what tenant is doing. Tenant might be doing the business or might be living. For me, this let out income is rental income. I should not be confused with these two highlighted words, residential purpose. Had it been commercial purpose also, for me as R, my status would not have changed because I am earning rental income. My tenant might be earning business income if he is using the house for business purpose. But for me, it is my rental income. So I will show this as income under the head house property as far as unit 1 is concerned. I hope the point is clear. A sum of 1,000 could not be collected from the tenant. So this becomes unrealized rent. Then unit 2. Unit 2, 25% of the floor area is used by him. I'm using my own house, but only 1/4 of the house for the purpose of his residence. So this is technically self-occupied. Unit 3, remaining 25 is used by him for the purpose of his business. On 1/4 portion, I am doing business. Now, house may be one, but technically, for the purpose of Income Tax Act, these are treated as three houses because all these are independent. So don't say that this is one house. These are three houses. Whenever your house is independent or whenever your house has independent units, those units itself take the identity of a separate house. I will not say that it is my one house. Now, for the purpose of registry or for other official records, this may be single house, but for the purpose of Income Tax Act or in the eyes of the department, this is not a one house. Technically, if there are independent units, every independent unit becomes a house itself. So technically, what is there in this? This house has three portions: portion 1, portion 2, and portion 3. This house has three portions: portion 1, portion 2, portion 3. Now, what is happening is unit 1. Now, this third number I should give serial number 3 just to avoid confusion. Unit 1 is having 50% area. All expenses and incomes, of course, of the entire house must be divided in these ratios. 50 is to 25 is to 25. That means 2 is to 1 is to 1. 50 is to 25 is to 25. So unit 1 and 2, 2 is to 1 is to 1. Okay, or you cut this. Don't be confused in this. This is the house where 50% area is let out. Area is self-occupied and 25% area is used by me. So it is neither let out nor self-occupied. I'm myself using this house for my own business, PGBP. So 50% of the house unit is altogether a different house let out. Unit 2 having 25% is altogether a different house self-occupied, and unit 3 another 25%. It has no relationship with the house property because this house is neither let out, this portion is neither let out nor self-occupied. I'm using it for my business. So this 25% of the property's expenditure as well as income will be dealt with as per the provisions of PGBP. It has no relationship with house property head. Only these two are related with HP. So what will be my first job? Note one. First, I should rewrite the question. So I will say bifurcation of the amount, or I will apportion the amounts. So various figures which have been given to me, I should first divide it amongst these three houses so as to remove any confusion. Now, what different values are given? If you see the question, municipal value is given 384. That is of the entire house. Other government departments like municipal corporations will not give the value of different units. In their eyes, it is only one house. In the eyes of the tax department, this is not one house, there are three houses. So municipal value is the value which is adopted by municipal authority. They will say that 3,84,000 is the value of the entire house. I am saying to them that I have different units. They will say that we are not at all bothered about different units. In our reports, 384 is the value of the entire house. So what is my job now? Extra work. First, I will rewrite the question. I'm not doing any solution. I'm just rewriting the question just to remove any confusion in the minds of others. It is my let out house, unit 1. It is my self-occupied house, and this is the house for which I will compute the income and expenditure as per the provisions of PGB. Now, municipal value total was how much? 384. Just divide every expenditure in the ratio of 2:1:1. So I'm doing the question only. I'm rewriting the question. I'm not solving it. You must understand it. So logically, municipal value of house 1, which is unit 1, but in the eyes of department, it is not unit now. It is house 1 is 122. House 2 is 96. Whenever you see this word independent units, independent means in the eyes of the department, these are separate houses altogether. Similarly, municipal taxes paid. $32,000, 16, 8, 8. Repairs 40,000. Don't forget to use the symbol rupees. I might not be using rupee symbol, but we have to use it. Similarly, rupees. Okay, every figure is in rupees. 40. Now, whether it is allowed expenditure or not, that is another question. For the time being, let us rewrite the question. Ground rent. It is also an expenditure for the assessing. 8,000, 4,000, 4,000. Land revenue. It is an income for the government, land revenue, but it is an expenditure for the SSC. 9,800 divided by 4 into 2, 4,900. 2,450. 2,450. Insurance premium. Now, house also requires insurance, not only human beings. I might have secured my house for fire insurance. So house also requires insurance. So there must be insurance premium. Not only, don't think that it is the insurance premium on assesses life. The heading of these expenses says other particulars of the house. So everything is related to the house. Interest on capital borrowed. But don't just think about these four words, interest on capital borrowed. You must remember that only that interest is allowed in which you have borrowed the capital for purchase, construction, repair, renewal or reconstruction. And in my example, can you tell me for what purpose I have borrowed the capital? For what purpose I have borrowed the capital? Municipal tax. Now, logically you tell me, is it allowable expenditure if I am talking about house property? Is it allowed? Is it allowable expenditure when I'm talking about house property? Answer is no.
No, sir.
Because only interest is allowed if capital is borrowed for purchase, construction, repair, renewal or reconstruction. So for the time being, I have not solved the question. I have simply rewritten the question. Then income of R from business is 461,200. Now that is another case. Note 2. What is given to me is my income from business. How much is income from business? 461,200, but something different is given. Now, if I say income from business in the eyes of department, it is, or as an assessor, when I'm talking about income tax act, I will say that it is my income under the head profits and gains of business or profession. But this is not complete income, or this is not the taxable business income, because in the bracket it is mentioned that it is without debiting. It is without debiting house rent. It is without debiting house rent and other incidental expenditures. Other incidental expenditures, including depreciation of 1,600 on 1/4 portion of the house used for business. So this explanation I will give you later on. Let us start winding up first house property. Now my question is rewritten, and now let me start doing the solution. So now I have to compute what total taxable income of R. So computation of taxable income of R for the assessment year. (2021-22). Now in this case, PGBP head also requires calculation, house property head also requires calculation. Just to show the presentation beautifully, I should prepare separate notes for these heads. Unlike in the previous problem, I merged house property head with the total income. So in the same format, I computed the total income. Now it will look very bad when I will follow the same format, because house property also requires detailed calculation. PGBP also requires detailed calculation. So better I will show them separately in the note. So directly I write income from HP. So I will give it as note 3. Not use this, yes. And it is income from PGBP. Income under the head PGBP. I will give it a note 4 or note 2. Already I have note 2. Total will give me gross total income less deduction under section 80. I will see, and this will my answer total income. Now let us start note 3. So now I will compute computation of income from HP. I hope you can see the font size. If it is very small, you should tell me, or if it is small, you should tell me. But since the text questions are lengthy, house 1, house 2, or you can say unit 1 and unit 2. Yes, unit 1, unit 2, or house 1, house 2. It is let out and it is self-occupied and rupees. So let us start computing. First, let us compute expected rent. Never use short form in the exam, I am using it. Now, for let out house, what is the expected rent? Municipal value 192, fair rent is not given. So 192 or not available, higher 192. Standard rent is also not available, 192 or not applicable, which is lower 192. So step 1 is 192. Step 2. Actual rent received or receivable. Annual rent. Now can you tell me how much is annual rent? Any answer of annual rent? How much is annual rent? Or in fact I should use the word rental income entitled. That is more suitable. Annual rent word will create confusion. I will use rental income entitled. I want to know this value. Can you tell me how much is rental income entitled? Any answer? 16,000 into what?
So 9 months.
16 into 9 months. Wrong. Any answer? 16 into how many months?
2 months.
Yes, Ishika, 16 into how many months?
2 months.
2 months. Completely wrong. Any answer? How much is my rental income entitled for my let out house? It's very easy. Just read the question, first 3 lines, and you can get the answer from first 3 lines. How much is rental income entitled? 16,000 into how many months? Read first 3 lines of the question and then try to tell me how much I will write in this column. Rental income entitled. This is my let out house. This is the value given for let out portion. So after reading these lines, I can easily tell how much is rental income entitled. Monthly rent is 16,000. I will multiply this 16 with what? Any answer? Read these 4 lines and you tell me how much is rental income entitled. Because from this value I will deduct unrealized rent and I will deduct vacancy loss. So how much is rental income entitled, that I want to know. I will multiply 16,000 with what? I hope it is, the screen was visible, the question was visible. This is the question. R owns a big house. The house has 3 independent residential units. Unit 1, 50% of the area is let out for residential purpose. So it is let out. I'm talking about this unit 1, house 1. On a monthly rent of 16,000. So 16 is monthly. But this house, unit 1, is used by him from 15th Jan to 15th March for own residential purpose. So this house which was let out, this 50% portion was self-occupied by me for 2 months. The sum of 1,000 could not be collected from the tenant. Now you tell me, what will be the value of my rental income entitled? I will multiply 16,000 with how many number of months? In number of months, I will multiply 16,000 with what? How much is the maximum rent which I could have collected from this portion, unit 1?
Sir, is it 10 months?
Yes, it should be 10 months because for 2 months the house was self-occupied. So it is not vacancy. When the house was self-occupied, you cannot say that it is vacancy. So you remove 2 months, and for remaining 10 months, it is the maximum possible rental income which you could have earned. So my rental income entitled is 16,000 into 12. 16,000 into 12. I hope it is clear now. If still any problem, then you should ask me. Into 10, 160. Less what? Unrealized rent, which is 1,000. Now can you tell me how much is vacancy loss? What is the answer of vacancy loss? What is the answer of vacancy loss in this house? Nil. There was no vacancy. This is the actual rental income which is received, or it might be receivable. So this is step 2. Actual rent received oblique receivable. Step 3. Here actual rent is less than expected rent, and that is not because of vacancy. Because even if there is no vacancy, still it is less than the expected rent. So I will say that since, don't use short form in the exam, expected rent is, since, don't write expected rent, compare actual rent with reference to expected rent. So it will avoid any error from your side. Since actual rent received or receivable is less than expected rent, not only because of vacancy, but because of other factors also. Expected rent is the annual value before deduction of local tax. So what is my expected value? Annual value before deduction of local tax. It will be 192. From this, less local taxes. How much is local taxes given in respect of household which is let out? This 16,000 paid by the owner. That was the benefit when I bifurcated the amount. Otherwise, I could have made some mistake. Could have. So always it is better in rough to bifurcate the amount whenever any house is divided in independent units. Annual value is how much? 176 and less deduction under section 24. Standard deduction, it is flat 30%. 52,800. And is there any interest on capital borrowed given in the question? Answer is no. Because the interest which is given, now this repair is of no use, ground rent no use, land no use, insurance no use, this interest is not of use. Why? Because we always give flat 30% deduction. So other expenses are of no use. Interest could have been used had it been for purchase, construction, repair, renewal or reconstruction. But that is also for payment of municipal tax, no use. So interest on capital borrowed nil. And this is my income from my let out house. $123,200. This is my this answer. Now for self-occupied house, I always say that annual value is nil. Deduction of course is nil, then standard deduction. And there is no interest in that case also, so it is nil. So now I got the final answer from HP income 123,200. So I will write income from HP, note 3, 123,200 plus nil. So this is my first point, 123,200. Till this point, if you have any issue, please ask me. Otherwise, my HP is complete till this point, as far as this numerical is concerned. Any doubt, you please ask me. Otherwise, raise your hands. Okay. Now let us compute PGBP income now. So I'm coming to the note 2 now. Income from PGBP. Now my house property chapter is over technically in this question. Now I'm moving to other head, PGBP. Though I have not yet discussed with you PGBP, but till I discuss with you PGBP in detail, you should apply logical assumption in note 2. Is this 462 my final income? No. Had I prepared P&L account, simply just listen. This 461 is my profit. It is my income from business, but it is before deducting expenditures. Before deducting expenditure. And I'm simply telling you a common concept or common rule. When you do business, all expenses which are incurred in the business are allowed as deduction from the sales or from the receipts as per the provisions of PGBP. 461 is the income. It is without deducting what? Without debiting house rent and other relevant expenditures. So can you tell me what are those other expenditures of business? In my case, is municipal value an expense? Kindly tell me, is this 96,000 an expense? I'm looking now for unit 3 only. Is 96,000 an expenditure or only just a value? Any answer? Is 96,000 expenditure of the SSC? Any answer from your side? Is 96,000 the expenditure of the SSC? Kindly tell, is 96,000 expenditure of the SSC or it is only a value? Kashish, you try to tell me, is 96,000 the value or an expenditure of the SSC? What do you think? Do you know this point? Or are you in a position to answer this point, whether this 96,000 is a value or an expenditure of the assessee. Is my voice coming?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Ishika, you try to tell me, is this 96,000 a value, just a value, or is this the expenditure of the assessee?
So it is just a value.
It is
Just a value.
just a value. It is not the expenditure, because this municipal value is the value in the records of the local authorities on which they will collect house tax from me. So technically, suppose I am living in one house, and in the records of the value, the municipal value of that house is 20 lakh rupees. It doesn't matter to me. It is not my expenditure. My expenditure will be when on this value I will pay local tax. So municipal value for me, it's only a figure. Like if today you are living in your house, and if market in the market outside there are 10 people who says that this house is of having worth rupees 3 crores, it doesn't matter to you. It matters to you when you actually sell it. Then you will compute capital gain. But till you do not sell it, whatever is the market value of the house, that is of having no use for the purpose of income tax. Same is the case here. Whatever is the market value, this municipal value, it is not my expenditure. It is only a value in the records of the municipal authorities. For me as an assessee, it is of having no use. So it is not an expenditure for me. This is the main point. Now, I discussed with you PGBP. For this question, what rule you should remember is that all expenses incurred in the nature of business and profession are allowed as deduction as per the provisions of PGBP, as per the provisions of income under the head PGBP. So I'm logically deducting those expenses now, that my income from business, since I have my own shop in this 25% portion of the house, I'm talking about which portion? This portion. Okay, in this portion I'm doing business, I have my shop. You can see in your nearby your house also there are so many shops. In the house also there may be so many shops. So in this portion I'm having my own shop, and my income when I was doing some sale, my income was 462, 461, 200. But technically it is not PGBP final income on which I will pay the tax. Question was saying that this income is without debiting expenditure. So now, as I told you, till I discussed with you PGBP, that when you compute PGBP income, all expenditures which are related to the business are allowed as deduction as per the provisions of PGBP. So now I will start debiting the expenditure. Municipal value is only a value. Tax is paid, it's an expenditure, deduct it. So this I will deduct now. Tax is paid, municipal taxes, 8,000. So I'm deducting the expenditure. Repair, deducted. Because I might not be using a repair in house property, but right now my chapter going on is PGBP for this calculation, 10,000. Every chapter has its own rules and regulation. In the house property, you do not deduct any expenditure except interest on capital borrowed for the purpose of purchase, construction, repair, renewal or reconstruction. But in PGBP, you deduct all the expenditures which are related to the business. So never get confused with this point, or do not be confused in this point, that why I am deducting 10,000 here. I am deducting, why don't be confused with this point, that why I am deducting 10,000 here, which I have not deducted when I computed the house property income. Because it is not house property head. Now this head is going on is PGBP. So the heading of note 2 is calculation of income as per the provisions of the head or income under the head PGBP. I am computing income under the head PGBP. And simple logic which you have to learn till I discuss with you PGBP is that while computing income under the head PGBP, all expenditures or all expenses related to business or profession are allowed as deduction for the purpose of space is not left, so I'm writing here for the purpose of computing business or professional income. For the purpose of computing business or professional income. It's simple logic. Only for this example you should learn it, because when we will discuss PGBP, then you will exactly get to know which expenses are allowed. So I'm only deducting expenditures now from 461,200. What other expenses I will deduct? Ground rent I will deduct, land revenue I will deduct, insurance I will deduct. This interest on capital borrowed for payment of municipal tax also I will deduct. I am deducting all the expenditures which are incurred in the nature of business or profession. I was not deducting such expenses when I was computing house property, because house property rule is different and PGBP rule is different. So I am deducting these expenditures. These are ground rent, land revenue, insurance premium, interest on capital borrowed for the purpose of payment of municipal tax, and these are 4,000 ground rent, land revenue 2,450, insurance premium 4,000, and IOBC 3,500. One more thing is left. You know, one more deduction I will deduct. Depreciation. Question was saying that I have no deducting depreciation also on 1/4 portion of the house. This depreciation is not for the entire house. This 1600, so don't divide 1600 by 4. This is only for 1/4 portion. So this 1600 is only for this 25% of the portion. So this is the value of this 25% portion. So let us divide 1600. Such things you should be, for such things you should be careful. Now technically, this is my PGBP income for the purpose of Income Tax Act. The balance. That's it. This is what my question was. 8,000 plus 10 plus 4 plus 2,450 plus 4,000 plus 3,500 plus 1,600. 33,550 is the expense minus 461,200. So my income from business is 427,650, and this is what I will show. 427,650 in my final column, PGBP. 427,650. Total becomes 550,850. ATC is not there in the question, and the final answer is 550,850. That's all as far as this question is concerned. If it is understood, please raise your hands, and if there is any slight problem, you should ask. If you do not do the practice under Income Tax Act, it will become very tough for you. So daily you have to spend now 4 to 5 hours in studying income tax only. How do you manage the time? That you have to see. Otherwise, you have to study this income tax daily. Please raise your hand if this question is also clear. Okay, so any doubt, you can unmute and ask me. Now next question, and this will be the last question. After this, the chapter house property will be over from my side. Next question. From book, concept building approach. Problem number 21. Page. It is the last question of the topic house property. Then the chapter is completely over, and within 2 days you should wind up this chapter. Within 2 days. If you are attempting this from my book, then there are 21 numericals, full-fledged, and 21 unsolved questions. And if you are having any other material, please wind up this chapter from the material which you are having and start asking me the doubts after then. Now it is given on page 5.47.